the Chief Justice, the Governor, ministers.
We have details of these and more stories coming up shortly. Stay with us. And now let's settle for the details. Consumers of sachet water in Ghana are set to face higher prices from today, following a formal announcement by the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers. The increase affects factory extract and maximum retail prices across the country. The new pricing structure is as follows: factory price of 8 Ghana cedis per bag, extract price of 10 Ghana cedis per bag, and a maximum retail price of 15 Ghana cedis per bag. Here is Kwame Ejapon Intra, the National Director of Corporate Affairs for the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers, who earlier explained that the price revision is a response to the global shortage of polymers.
We are not saying that the water that anybody is selling should be sold at 15. That's not what we are saying. What we are saying is that the figures we are giving, 8 and 10, I'm trying to explain that depending on where the shop is, the person can sell it for, say, 11 or, say, around, say, 12. While we are giving an upper limit of 15, is that, for example, the war in the Middle East, nobody knows when it's coming to an end. But if the war were to come to an end even today, I listened to BBC. They were telling us that if the war were to come to an end today, some of their facilities that have been bombed, it will take 4 years before they come to their normal production levels. 4 years.
Moving on, Ghana's Energy Chamber, led by Executive Chairman Joshua B. Nah, has announced its withdrawal from the Africa Energy Summit in London, citing discriminatory hiring practices and the systemic exclusion of African professionals from leadership and decision-making roles. The move, formalized in a statement on April 2, 2026, reflects a growing trend across the continent as African governments, national oil companies, and indigenous firms push back against platforms that claim to speak for Africa while sidelining its talent. The statement said despite Africa's growing influence in global energy platforms often fail to include African professionals in staffing and agenda setting, undermining credibility. Let's do some more stories. Lawyer for former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has provided fresh details on the status of his client's ongoing immigration proceedings in the United States, indicating that unresolved extradition request issues have delayed a ruling on his bond application. Speaking on hot issues, Frank Davis confirmed the April 27 hearing will happen after the judge adjourned the case on February 19. Mr. Ofori-Atta has been held in U.S. federal custody since January 6 following his arrest by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, in Washington, D.C. Take a listen.
As it turned out, on the 19th of February, it was just a one-liner which was filed by the federal lawyers, giving no details of the request. So the judge's hands were tied. He could not go into the merits the bond application. Early on, the matter had been adjourned to the 27th of April for a continuation of the ICE hearing. So that is what we are anticipating, the 27th of April. The ICE hearing is dealing principally with an immigration issue.
Voice of Frank Davis, lawyer for former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, speaking there. Now, the third annual Kweu Business Forum concluded on Sunday at the Kweu Convention Center in Impriso with a resounding message: Ghana must transition from a trading-based economy to manufacturing powerhouse. Michael Ogbodu reports.
The forum was established as a high-level platform to connect policy, investment, and enterprise in Ghana. This year's edition saw strong representation from both government and the private sector, a development the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, says reflects its growing impact.
To be very honest with you, though we knew it was going to be big, but I think this is super big. If you look at the participants, I mean, from the President, the Chief Justice, the Governor, ministers, business leaders, I mean, I don't know who didn't come. And my thinking is that if all these will have left their families just to come and help us think about the way forward, as far as entrepreneurship is concerned and how best banks or financial institutions can help entrepreneurs, then I think it's been a big success.
As part of the final day's activities, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, held a closed-door meeting with leaders of banks and insurance firms.
The Governor was very clear in his mind. He said as far as he's concerned, he will see his job completed when lending rates are below 10.
Let's do some more stories. And from the Middle East to Ghana's fuel pumps, the impact of rising global oil prices is hitting hard, triggering emergency government talks and sparking fears of prolonged economic strain. Meanwhile, President Mahama has also hinted of a cabinet meeting set soon. Let's take a listen.
As the growing tensions in the Middle East continue to hit home here in Ghana, rising global oil prices are triggering sharp increases at the fuel pumps, a situation some experts caution may not end anytime soon.
We will not go back to normal anytime soon. We better sit up and start doing the hard thinking.
In response, President Mahama has convened an emergency cabinet meeting to consider urgent policy responses. This move signals the seriousness of the situation and the potential for further economic strain if global conditions persist. The meeting is expected to focus on both immediate relief measures and longer-term strategies to shield the economy from external shocks.
I've called for an emergency cabinet meeting to decide some measures we can take to cushion the petroleum price while we expect that the war comes to an end.
President Mahama on the cabinet meeting said to be held soon. Meanwhile, police in the Volta region are on a manhunt for persons behind Friday evening's robbery attack on a beverage depot that has left 4 persons with gunshot injuries in Akachi. This latest incident adds up to the numerous robbery cases that have occurred in the municipality in recent times, sparking fear among residents who are calling for tighter security measures. There is more in this report.
At about 6:30 p.m. Friday evening, when the larger Christian community was focused on the Easter festivities, a group of armed men stormed El Shaddai Enterprise, a beverage depot in Akachi. The gang restricted workers amid sporadic shooting, made way to the company's account office, and bolted with an unspecified amount of the day's sales. We sat close by the shop between 6:30 to 7 p.m. when we heard the gunshots. A few moments, the woman in the shop ran out shouting, "Armed robbers, armed robbers." But we could not help because of the gunshot. We didn't even know where they came from, but they disappeared into the bush behind the shop. We could not get hold of any of them. According to police sources, one person was shot in the leg at the robbery scene, while 3 others from nearby homes sustained gunshot injuries from the sporadic gunfire.
And that will be all for the 6 a.m. news on 3FM 92.7. My name is Richard Brightado. Sunrise is up next. Good morning.